In this class, we will learn the third class in Perek Hakoines, which is in the Gemara Masechtas Bava Kama on Daf Nun Hey Amud Beis. Let's begin with a general outline of this class. In the previous Gemara, we established that our Mishnah that teaches that a door that stands in a normal wind is enough of a guarding follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. So our Mishnah says that it's enough that the gate could stand in the face of a normal wind, and that fits with Rabbi Yehuda, who says that the guarding of a fence that's strong enough to stand in front of a normal wind is good enough for a muad. And our Mishnah is also talking about a muad. So there's two parts to our Gemara. Number one, the Gemara will explain that our Mishnah can even follow Rabbi Meir that requires a higher level of guarding for a muad. The Gemara is going to explain that although it seems that our Mishnah doesn't fit with Rabbi Meir, because our Mishnah says that the lower level of guarding, an inferior level of guarding, is good enough for a muad, whereas Rabbi Meir says that it's necessary to have a superior level of guarding for both a tam and a muad. Our Gemara will explain how it could fit with Rabbi Meir. And number two, the Gemara will bring a support to its point. It's going to bring down the source for how we're explaining that our Mishnah could fit with Rabbi Meir. So let's see the Gemara now in the flowchart form. So we already brought down, it shows already what we learned because it's an extension of it. We had the original teaching of what it means that a person is watching his animal properly and not properly. If it could stand in front of a normal wind, that's properly. If it can't stand in front of a normal wind, then it's not properly. Then we mentioned, who does our Mishnah follow? It's Rabbi Yehuda. We brought the source because our Mishnah says that even this lower level of guarding that could only stand in the face of a normal wind is good enough for shein and regel, which are muad, and that fits with Rabbi Yehuda, who says that a lower level of guarding is good for a muad, referring to an animal at a text that's a muad. So both Rabbi Yehuda and the Mishnah say that the lower level of guarding is good enough for a muad. And this won't fit with Rabbi Meir, because Rabbi Meir says that a lower level of guarding is not good enough for a muad. It's necessary to have a higher level of guarding. Our Mishnah says that the lower level of guarding is enough for a muad. So the Gemara now presents a teaching, and it says as follows. We can even say it follows Rabbi Meir. How can we say it follows Rabbi Meir? Rabbi Meir says it's necessary to have a superior level of guarding for a muad. Our Mishnah says that for shein and regel, which are naturally muad, a lower level of guarding is enough. So the Gemara explains, and shein and regel are different, for the Torah is lenient in their guarding. It's true that for Keren, that's a tam and a muad, it's going to be necessary to have a higher level of guarding. We're going to explain according to Rabbi Meir, but he will agree that for shein and regel, it's not necessary to have this higher level of guarding, and a lesser level of guarding is enough. Why would we say this? They're both a muad. The reason is because we find that the Torah is more lenient by shein and regel than it is by Keren. I'm going to bring that down in a moment. So this is an arrow pointing upwards because it comes out of what we said. We have another a teaching regarding that we can actually explain that it fits with Reb Meir. So where do we see that the Torah is more lenient by shein and regel? So like Rebbe Lezer or a Brisa says, so either the source is Rebbe Lezer or a Brisa, there are four things that the Torah is lenient in their guarding, and they are bur, Eish, shein, and regel. And then we're going to present where we find this. So it starts. Bur, it says if a person covered it, eats pater. Even though later on somebody will uncover it and somebody will get harmed in it. We said the first person's pater, although he's the one that originally dug the bur, and without him, there would never have been a problem. So we see that the Torah is lenient by a bur, by a pit, that the person, if he covered it, he's going to lose responsibility. It says in the pasuk, Ki yiftach ish bur, or ki yichra ish bur, when he didn't cover it, then he'll be chayiv. But if he did cover it, he'll be pater. We also find that eish, a person's pater. It says only if he's like a mavir is he chayiv. Only if it's as if the person did it, like we'll see here in the scroll. It says shalim yishalim hamavir sabeira. Pay, he shall pay the one who lit the fire. Where the last three words are extra. It should have just said shalim yishalim. We already described what the person did. Why does it say hamavir esabeir, the one who lit the fire? And he directly lit it, meaning that he was careless. So when it says hamavir sabeir sounds as if the person actually directly lit the whole fire and did the entire damage. The Torah is telling us that it has to be, and the person reached a high level of carelessness, and only then will he be chayiv. But if he wasn't totally careless, he's going to be pater. Shein, it says only if he's like ubir is he chayiv. What does this mean? So it brings in the scroll. It says in the pasuk ubir b'sdei acher, the animal consumed, it caused destruction in another field. And this is referring to the act of shein, of eating. So ubir is that he actually fed his animal, meaning that he was careless. Again, ubir b'sdei acher sounds as if that person actually directly fed his animal. So once again, we have the emphasis that only if the person was considered that he was careless, then he'll be responsible, then he'll be liable and chayiv. However, if he wasn't close to being careless, he won't be chayiv. So once again, we see that the Torah is lenient by another one of these examples. And the last and final one is regel, only if he's like v'shilach es yichayev. The Torah says v'shilach es be'iroi, and he sent his animal, and that's referring to that the animal went and trampled on something and broke it while walking. As we'll see later, how do we see the cases of ubir? How do we see the case of shein in the word ubir, and how do we see the case of regel and v'shilach? It'll come up. But for right now, we're saying that we see that where the Torah speaks about regel, about animals stepping and breaking something, it's in the word of v'shilach, and he sent. That the person actually sent the animal to break. So once again, we see v'shilach, it has to be as if he actually sent it, meaning again that he was careless. So what we see over here is that we have an indication that the Torah is more lenient by shein and regel, like we see it had to be close to carelessness, and therefore it's possible to explain that only by keren, by goring, did Rabbi Meir say that the lesser form of guarding isn't enough, and it's necessary to have a superior and higher form of guarding. However, he might agree that in our Mishnah, although it's talking about shein and regel, which are naturally mu'ud, nevertheless, since we find that the Torah is more lenient by them, maybe Rabbi Meir will also hold that by them a lesser level of guarding is enough. So to summarize, the Gemara is pointing out that we're not compelled to say that the Mishnah only follows Rabbi Yehuda, rather we're also able to say that it follows Rabbi Meir. An explanation will be that shein and regel are going to be more lenient by them, and therefore the Mishnah tells us that the lower level of guarding, the lesser level of guarding is enough, although it's not enough by goring, because shein and regel are more lenient. And we brought a source from Rabbi Lezer, from a brisa, where we find that that it teaches us that the Torah is more lenient by shein, regel, and we also mentioned by bur and eish.